Hey guys, Dean here. So today I'm going to be talking to you guys how you can actually save up $10,000 as quick as possible, or start to save up to $10,000 or more so you actually have some money for either an emergency fund, some money to fall back on, or some additional money to later put into investments, or to do with whatever you decide you want to do with it. Whether you want to create a nest egg or actually save some of your income that you're typically tending to waste a lot each month on, this is how to do it, or how I personally do it. So just a little bit of an introduction to finances and saving money, and a little bit of a case study in my personal life how I actually saved up my first 15,000. Okay, this is during the season when everyone was inside and we had the lockdowns. It seemed to be probably the best way to actually save money. Okay, I was basically trying to go traveling and go on holiday, but I couldn't because we were kept inside by the British government. The only choice I had was just to save my money. I didn't really have anything to spend it on or waste it on, and I knew that I wanted to either live abroad or travel somewhere, so I had no choice but to basically save for 8 or 9 months. Now I know that's a unique situation because we're basically out of the water with that now, but if that kind of situation ever shows itself to us again, that's the perfect time to save. The times where you don't have money to spend is the times where you can really see how you save that money. So let's just take a look at things. So I was inside most of the time, and because of the lockdown restrictions, I couldn't go out and spend money on outdoor activities. I couldn't go to do sports, or in a lot of places you couldn't even go to the gym, so even those monthly payments you may as well have cancelled because you couldn't actually go and work out at a gym. So everyone had to do home workouts, which is why those videos on YouTube did really well. So all of these different transactions we were making each month, all these luxuries we were paying for, we had to cancel because we didn't have the freedom to actually fulfill them. So that was one way that we were actually saving money. We were also home, so we didn't spend money on random products, unless of course you were one of the people on Amazon, because we knew that Amazon stocks soared to the skies because people were making so many e-com purchases, which is another reason why people did so good in dropshipping on TikTok during the whole lockdowns. This is why people were saving money for the most part, okay? And that's how I saved money. I didn't really have money to waste on, and I probably didn't go to the supermarkets or stores as much, which is where sometimes I buy food and snacks, so I was saving even more money. So that's how I personally saved, and obviously over a while I did end up spending most, if not all of it, on traveling, but that's how I actually saved the first 15,000. So we've used that as basically a case study to identify how that whole global situation was beneficial. So we want to kind of emulate that so we can actually save it now organically for the places where we don't have any further restrictions left over anymore. What I would do now if I wanted to save $10,000 or more, this is the exact strategy I'd use. So first on, I take a look at the bills which you're paying for. You want to save money on the bills which are coming out of your bank account. So these are basically the very mandatory outgoings we have. So you want to sit down and check how much you're spending month by month and really finally go over those expenses and see what those outgoings are. It might not be a big amount to actually cut down on, but it may be a small figure that over time will snowball and it will add up to a lot of money saved. Okay, this is very important. You can also call up providers. So for an example, there is a bit of an energy crisis going on here right now, but you could call up people who do the water bill, who do your gas and electric, and you can go on websites like Money Supermarket and Compare the Market, all these useful services, and you can compare what the different providers are actually charging you. Now, if you're in some kind of energy or gas crisis, this is probably not going to really affect too much because the prices are still going to be high, but you want to see if you can get a better deal from any other provider or service that could obviously save you money, because that saved money is going to save into our nest egg, which we're trying to save up here. So that's an important thing. Are you using less data than you're paying for on your phone bill? Is your phone bill something you could get a better deal with a different provider? Are all your utility costs above average? These are all things you have to look into, and this is usually the biggest expenses which come out of someone's monthly budget. Okay, if you're living on your own, you're going to have specific personal things like this which you're going to have to take a look at, especially when you're not splitting the cost with other things with a roommate or a partner, for an example. And it's important to, when you're looking through your bills, just to generally create a budget. Now I do have a video, you can check that out on my channel. I'll try remember to link it down below or in one of the cards up here on the video suggestions, but basically that will show you how to create a budget, how to start budgeting, how to use the envelope method, and other useful methods and stages to save money efficiently and put money aside, and also optimize the amount spent each month so you can save the most money. So that's a really useful resource. You can also go on Reddit to learn these things too, but that's something you need to look at, creating an efficient budget using some kind of template if you're using Excel or Word, or a budgeting app or tool, which I also mentioned the top ones you can use in that video too. Next up is cutting spending in some of the key areas where we typically tend to waste the most money. So one of those obviously is eating out. That's something I've realized recently, because when I was on holiday, there wasn't really many food options or supermarkets or places where I was staying, so I ended up just ordering a takeaway for like 4 days in a row, which isn't the healthiest thing, and it's definitely not the healthiest thing for your wallet. So cutting back on eating out is something I'd also recommend. So eating more meals at home is going to optimally save you money in the long run. I mean, it's just obvious. If I would just buy the most basic food, which is typically what I eat the most anyway, chicken and rice, if I was just to buy that over the course of a few months, instead of eating something like fried chicken or McDonald's, which a lot of people eat from a takeout service, or pizza, which costs a lot, typically with all these delivery costs and these minimum order amounts we now have to spend on these apps, it's pretty obscene how much you have to spend. You would save a lot of money just buying the basics, okay? So eating at home more, doing home cooking, learning to do home cooking if you have no clue how to cook. That's probably the biggest step I would do, because food is actually a bigger expense than you actually realize if you haven't been looking at your monthly outgoings. And basically, if you're eating regularly at fancy restaurants, try and cut that down. If you're going on regular dates, maybe in your relationship and you're going to restaurants, try not to go to the places which are as bougie or as expensive. Like I've mentioned in other videos, you can create great experiences going to places on a budget. It really isn't about the dollar amount, so there's no excuse in that regard to be spending so much money too. I don't really always recommend you to stop drinking like expensive coffees or having these tiny luxuries, but if you are either broke or you haven't even saved up $5,000 to $10,000, you really are going to need to cut back on these luxuries, at least in the short term, until you save some money or make some more money, right? So stop going to Starbucks, stop going to Costa, stop going to these expensive places. At least for the short term, you can enjoy your life a little bit more when you have that $10,000 nest egg. Just cut back on the expenses. If you're spending $50 to $100 a month on coffee or even more, which I hope you're not, then that could be another area you could be saving money on as well. And also snacks, something which I'm guilty for. Sometimes I go and buy snacks. That can also add up too if you're not looking for the best deals, or if you're buying the premium brands, for an example. Think about buying secondary brands, like cheaper brands, like a supermarket brand. For an example, Aldi and Lidl make the most biggest rip-off brands of everything, right? They sell rip-off cereals, rip-off Oreos, everything like that. And most of the time they taste exactly the same, if not just a tiny little bit worse, but mostly the same as the name brand product. And you can save a lot of money on it. So groceries and takeout food, that's the way you can save money. And your bank account and wallet's going to thank you in the long run. Because whether you're investing that $10,000 straight into index funds, crypto, or just saving it, you can do a lot with that money. So then next up, we're going to reduce our entertainment costs. So this is something which we inadvertently had to do during the lockdowns anyway. So this is something we're going to artificially encourage ourselves to do so. So reducing entertainment costs, this could be things like spending less on a Netflix subscription, which I personally still pay for anyway, because I get enough value and enjoyment out of that, even if I don't use it all day. Cutting back on monthly services. For an example, if you have multiple entertainment services, like you don't just have Netflix, you have Amazon Prime too, you have Hulu, you have Disney Plus, you have all of these different entertainment networks. You only really need one in the long run. Sure, some of them might offer some different shows and movies, but if you have like more than one or two, I mean, I'd even argue if you have more than one, you're probably, first of all, spending most of your time on entertainment, or more than you should, and you should get to work and start earning more money, because then you're not going to be in this situation. Or you're just spending more money on services that you're not using, because if you are using your time efficiently, you shouldn't be subscribed to 4 or 5 different entertainment platforms. So cut these down, only pay for one if you need it as like one of your luxuries or leisures, and basically stop paying so much for multiple platforms, because each of them are $10 each, some of them up to $15, depending which plan you're running for you or your family, and they can all add up to hundreds of dollars, right? So think about your monthly subscriptions and luxuries, anything that are non-crucials, which should be something you're outlining in your budget anyway if you're doing things efficiently, and cut those out. That's an important thing to do. You may also want to cut down certain activities with friends. Now, I wouldn't cut down your friendship circles completely. That's just ridiculous. You'll be some kind of outcast and then you'll just have no friends. But if you're going to really expensive things, maybe if you go once every week, go once every 2 weeks or once a month, or suggest to your friends that you could go somewhere cheaper or just hang out at someone's house, okay? You don't have to go somewhere extremely expensive every week. You don't have to watch a blockbuster movie every other day of the week. There's a lot of ways you can cut down on your budget and find budget-friendly activities to do with people, or go out in nature or do sports. It's just as fun. You have just as much of a bond and experience, and you'll save a lot of money in doing so. Next up is actually consider looking how to earn more money. And I know this seems so stupid as a concept to actually suggest, but for the most part, I've said this before in all my other videos, a lot of the reason why I get dissuaded personally to actually invest in index funds and all these small investments or save money short term is because if you invest your money directly into something like an index fund, but you are broke and you're not making literally anything, or even if you're making an average wage or salary, right, or a little bit above, these investments aren't going to make you rich. It's not a long-term solution. Unless you're retired at like 65, 70, you're not going to have $1 million, right, from just penny pinching and dollar cost averaging into an index fund on an average salary. It's just not going to work that way. It's smart, but if you want any kind of success in the short term first, that's not going to be your method. So I'd recommend just looking at different ways that you can earn more, look at ways to increase your income earning power and potential so you can actually get more money to save. Because if you're saving saving $100 each month, it's going to take a darn long time until you actually save 10,000. But if you're making 5,000 a month, you can see how quickly that's going to climb, right? So just think about your current job, your current situation. Can you create a side hustle or a business from home? I have a lot of videos on my channel on the best home businesses you can start, the best remote work jobs for other companies you can do, and just ways to make money. So if that's something you need to learn about, just go on my channel. But look at ways you can earn money, maybe something as a second job or a side hustle online when you're actually out of work to do while you still have your stable job. Because a lot of people can't cut hundreds of dollars from their budget because they might be actually earning a very small amount and just getting by paycheck to paycheck, which is why you've got to also increase your income too. A lot of people will be offended by this and they'll say, oh, well, I don't really have the degrees or I can't increase my income. But nowadays, there's so many ways to make money offline, so many ways to build a brand, so many ways to sell products online, a lot of low barrier to entry things like Fiverr that you can get into to use your skills to actually acquire wealth by offering value in exchange for money. There's so many ways to make money. They don't require you to be academically adept. So getting a better job, that might not be the option for you. It might be doing your current job and your free time building up some kind of business on the side. This is really important. If that's not for you, if you're just kind of like a corporate worker and you love that and that's your life, there's nothing wrong with that at all. You could also go and ask for a raise. So go to your manager, ask for a raise, and if you get a raise or if you slowly climb through the ladder, if that's what you're interested in, over time you'll earn more money, and in turn that money can be used to save. The next one is basically going on the same point, and that's just starting a side hustle, starting an online business, and it kind of just falls into the same category. If you have a side hustle, you can make more money. There's many reasons why most millionaires have multiple streams of income. It's because they can have passive income from multiple sources to grow their wealth and compound the wealth, and they've got much more money to play with then. There's so many ways you can earn extra money as a side hustle. Like on the weekends, you could just be an Uber driver. Remember, from Friday night to Sunday night, usually Friday to Saturday, it's like a 2-day optimal window. There's a lot of people which go out, who go party, and they're a little bit too swoozy to actually drive themselves home, or at least legally, and most people definitely shouldn't do that. So they'll call a taxi. So you could optimize that and just become an Uber driver. You could use your car on Fridays and Saturdays during peak times and drive tons of people, build up your reviews, get a lot of money from Uber, and then save that additional money you're making at the weekend. If you don't really care about having to relax on the weekend, you can optimize your time to make some more money and then just save that amount you make from Uber, and then that's an additional amount you can save rather than saving from your paycheck if it's too low. So there's things like that. If you already have a car, you can do Uber, you can do Amazon Flex, delivering Amazon parcels and make up to $15 an hour from that. There's so many ways. You can go on Fiverr, do freelance writing, you can flip used possessions on eBay that you no longer need. There's so many ways to generate money, create a side hustle or create a business to earn money very simply, and this is something you can do so you can actually have more money to save up. Like I said, if you need any more ideas than the examples I used, I do have a ton of videos to learn how to make money, how to start an online business, how to work from home, how to work remote jobs for companies at home, and how to use apps on your phone to earn money. There's a lot of ways you could be doing to build up that wealth to actually have to save, okay? The next one is learning a new skill, and these all go hand in hand. If I have no clue on how to make money, if I have no marketable skills to make money, I could buy a course, I could get a free course, or I could just go on YouTube and find free information on literally anything. I could learn how to use Photoshop, I could learn how to use a word processor to type very quickly, and then I could become a data entry person who just does that job online. I could learn a new skill or a marketable skill. I could learn copywriting from a course and then go on Fiverr and market my copywriting skills and make money off a freelance website like that. There's so many ways that you could actually leverage your personal talents, your skills, and basically make money from it. Value for money is the most common exchange of actually acquiring wealth. If you don't have a marketable skill, go use all the free information online to gain a marketable skill. You don't need to be smart in anything specific. You can teach yourself anything online and then you can just start selling, okay? Even if you're a rookie, you can start selling for cheap, build up your portfolio, build up your proficiency with it, and actually get better at something and make money while actually learning. So learning a new skill and monetizing it, another great way to acquire some more money on the side to actually start saving. And then the next one is optimizing your bank account for saving. So what I did when I was initially saving that quite high figure of 15,000 is, before I actually did that, I said to myself, I'm going to save this amount each month. Now I was saving like 1,000 or more every single month because I just didn't really have much to spend my normal money on, so I thought I'll just take this chunk out of it and just put it in a savings account, right? It was pretty straightforward. So what I did is I created a brand new account, which was a second bank account, and I just applied for that online. It's so easy to set up a second bank account. I made that a savings account. I think it was just a normal account, but I just used it as a savings account. So I had 2 bank accounts, and then each month what I could do is I could go on my normal income generating account, which is where my business money from my YouTube and things come in from, and I could set up a direct debit, which is a monthly payment that you can set and you can automate it on your bank. And I'd send money, that fixed amount, every month I wanted to invest, 1,000 or more. I'd take that and I'd set up so my bank pays automatically into my savings account every single month. So I have a guaranteed savings figure which I can't touch and goes out at the start of each month when I get paid. So I already know what I've got left over after my savings have already been sent over. And that's how I built the savings up without actually touching it and ruining the amount which I'd saved. So that's also a great way if you find it hard to touch your money, or if you don't earn high amounts where you maybe be tempted to take some money out, put it in a different account, put a direct debit monthly payment over so you can send money automatically to your savings account and you can compound each month. And that's what I found personally successful. Now, when we talk about saving, we don't actually have to put the money in a savings account, right? Because savings account are typically going to be under 1%. They're going to be like 0.01%, which is a really bad interest on the money that you put in a bank, because we all know that the bank is gaining an immeasurably high interest themselves on your money in comparison to what they're giving you, right? So what we can do here is take advantage of compound interest. So instead of just throwing our money into a savings account like I did, you could also throw it into some kind of fund, okay? So we could throw it into an index fund or an ETF which tracks the market. I'd recommend putting it in the S&P 500. This is my personal opinion, not financial advice, but if I was to do this, I'd put it in the S&P 500, such as an ISA account or a Roth IRA, or I'd invest it in some kind of mutual fund which has high performance in the market, or I'd invest it in some kind of other asset like crypto which gains a return, but that's slightly riskier and you may lose your money. So it's best to just invest it in a tried and true method like the S&P 500. Invest in an index fund, get the return on it, and if you don't need the money in, like, let's say 1 to 2, 3 months, and you can wait like a year or two until you need that and it's just savings, then you're acquiring interest on your savings every single year, and that's going to compound even more when you choose to take it out. Even if you choose to take it out in a year, you might have 7 to 10% on that initial savings, which is going to further compound, right? So that's also another way how you can increase your savings. Even if you're only putting a few $100s in, if you put $1,000 in, you may get like another $80 to $100. That's extra on top of your savings that you didn't have before, and then you can take it out at some point when it's still at a high and it's not below your initial investment, and then you have more money. So leveraging investing is also good for saving. Now, the last one which I'm actually going to cover, which I mentioned a little bit before when I said how you could make some money, is just sell your things, okay? It doesn't have to be a side hustle or a side business. I would recommend, if you have any items you don't use, any items you don't want or you don't like anymore, just make an eBay account and sell all your old items, okay? Another way that I added onto that money which I saved is I made an eBay account and I had tons of Lego. I had so much Lego that I didn't need, Lego that I didn't use anymore. I didn't do Lego stop motion animation anymore, which was one of my main hobbies and passions, which I haven't been doing since my YouTube takes up so much of my work. I stopped doing that, so I had less of a purpose to actually keep them from my childhood. So I decided to sell them, and I sold those Lego figures. And you've seen the articles in the past where Lego is related to selling gold. It's like it's got such a high value. People compare it to gold. Lego figures, you can get insane money from it. That's also a pretty cool market. But I sold all my Lego, I made a few thousand off that, and I acquired more money. And you can do exactly the same thing with old furniture, old electronics, new devices, refurbished items, old phones that you don't need. You can sell anything secondhand that you don't want anymore, old clothes, fence them on websites like eBay and Facebook Marketplace, and you can just get random free money from items you don't really care about anymore and add that onto your savings. So that's a pretty cool tip which I haven't seen many people mention. So that concludes this video on how you guys can save $10,000 hopefully as quick as possible in the next 12 months, and try and have some money which you can use to invest with in index funds, or if you're being a little bit more risky, perhaps you like crypto, I don't know what your whole game is, or some money to play around with, maybe some money to buy some kind of valuable item that you want, like a watch for an example, or just have a nest egg for you to keep for an emergency fund, or for when things hit the fan and you need something to fall back on. Or maybe you're just trying to actually generate some kind of travel fund or a fund to live abroad like I wanted to. Whatever your reason is, hopefully you found some value in the tips which I gave out in this video, and if you did, make sure to give it a like and subscribe, because I'm putting out a lot of business and finance videos and some travel videos here and there every single day. See you next time, guys.